Just a disclaimer, this blog will be updated every once in a while, so check back if you want to see more. The year is 1999. That sentence brings me back to my senior kindergarten class when I was 5 years old. We used to read out the date on the blackboard every single day. The year was 1999, exists as a stain in my mind, however, as a memory. That will not go away, no matter how I try to forget it. 1999 marked the year I lost my first tooth, my first time on a plane, and unfortunately, the early loss of my childhood innocence. The one memory that refuses to be wiped, it all started with the new or old TV. At the time, Pokemon was the latest fad to hit the school. Pokemon cards, games, stickers, and the most popular, the TV show. So, of course, every time I came home from school, I would stay glued to the TV until Pokemon came on at 5. The only problem was that my dad watched the news at 5:30, and Pokemon episodes were back to back, which meant I had to miss an episode every day. Something I whined on and on about. My dad got tired of hearing me complain every day. That must be why he went and bought another TV. My dad put the TV he bought in my room. Unfortunately, it was just an old small boob tube with rabbit ears. Even it also only had 20 channels available, not including the channel Pokemon was on. I recall I didn't care though. I was just thrilled I had my own TV in my room. After surfing through the channels, I came to the conclusion that only Channel 2 TVO Kids was worth watching, so I watched that for a while. It wasn't for another few months until I discovered Channel 21. One day in April, I was flipping through the channels trying to see if Pokemon was on. I pressed Channel 21 into the remote, hoping there were more channels, and to my delight, there was. My dad was surprised too, but he let me watch it because it seemed to have kids programs on it. The local channel was called Keldon Local 21, and later I found out was indeed broadcasted from the town of Keldon, Ontario, a town very close to my city. The shows I saw on Keldon 21 were very poorly made, and I never understood what was going on in them half the time. However, as I grew up, every time I thought of that channel, I realized, and more, how messed up the shows were, and I had to ask myself, what the fuck am I watching? The following is a list of shows and episodes I remember seeing on Keldon 21, Local 21. However, how I remember such detail even disturbs me, but I guess things like this stand out in your mind for a while. There were only 3 channels I could find on the channel, probably because the channel was only operational between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. April 1999. Booby, episode 6, Together. I recall Booby was a show where the characters were simply live-action hands. No puppets or anything. Just hands. The show featured a hand named Bobby who found himself in a new situation every episode. The show was only 5 minutes long, and likely looked like it was shot in front of a damp, decaying wall. With the hands always With the hands always on a table with a table with a red cloth, a very low budget table, very low budget, obviously. This was the first episode I watched. The episode began with Bobby trying to get ketchup out of a bottle. It actually showed him beating himself against the bottom of the bottle, for 3 minutes. Finally, another hand came by and looked at Bobby. Together, the other hand said, and it began beating the bottle as well, until some ketchup finally squirted out all over the table. I remember chuckling slightly at this part. Bobby then stared at the ketchup mess for a few seconds before turning towards the camera, slowly zoomed in on him. Mr. Bear's Cellar, Episode 12. Very sketchy name if you were to look at it. Nowadays, the show featured a guy wearing a bear mascot. And then we'll be back for part 2. That's all, folks.